After 8 episodes, the first season of Rings of Power has officially finished, and I think it's time we talk about one of my major issues with the show. I was initially really excited about the show. The Lord of the Rings original trilogy and the appendices were what first drew me into filmmaking. Peter Jackson's Middle-earth holds a very special place in my heart, so you can imagine my excitement when I heard that Amazon was coming out with a new show. I envisioned something like Game of Thrones, but in Middle-earth. But by now we all know that's not what happened.
Is it true? Are you the king we were promised?
I'm your worst nightmare.
For myself and many others I know, this show is just total and absolute garbage, and that's putting it pretty nicely. The acting is mediocre at best, the dialogue sounds like it was written by a 7th grader, and the story is not really Tolkien in any way. But I think really what the most disappointing thing was for me was the show's total inability to have any real emotional moments.
Remember when I was little, when I used to have bad dreams? You remember what you used to say when you would hold me in the dark? Would you say it to me now?
Shut up, you're so annoying!
I struggle to think of moments from this season with real emotion, except for a spare few scenes with Prince Durin, out of all people. Of the many different storylines that we're following in this season, I like his and Elrond's the most so far.
Enough with the quail sauce. Give me the meat and give it to me raw.
When I think back to the original trilogy, I find myself remembering moments like Frodo saving Sam from drowning, like Gandalf telling Pippin about death, or everyone bowing to the hobbits in Edoras. The power these scenes have to make us cry or laugh or cheer are what makes them so special, and they serve as moments for the audience to not only invest their attention, but also their emotions into the story. I swear to God, when Gandalf shows up with the Rohirrim at Helm's Deep, I could run through a brick wall. I get so pumped up. These moments, among countless others in the trilogy, encapsulate to me really what makes them so good, and it also really helps explain why the Rings of Power is not.
There are many ways to kill an orc. But for you, I will keep it strong and simple. Stab, twist, gut.
What the hell is even that?
I can already hear the people who are saying, Max, the Peter Jackson films and the TV show are totally different things and shouldn't be compared. And to those people, I say,
why don't you shut the hell up?
I'm gonna do whatever the hell I want to do. And also, you can tell us not to compare the two all day as much as you want, but whether consciously or subconsciously, anyone who's seen the original trilogy will compare the two. You can't just ask a dedicated fan base to forget the original so that your attempt doesn't look as shitty.
Ignorance, sheer stupidity, and wild recklessness.
So, no matter how painful it is, let's give it a shot. Let's compare two scenes, one from Rings of Power and one from the original trilogy, to try and help show you why the Rings of Power is so bad. And yeah, I'm being a bit harsher of a critic on Rings of Power than I am of most shows, but most shows don't have a $60 to $90 million an episode budget. And I hate it.
This show sucks.
Now, I'm totally aware that one of these scenes is from a TV show, and one is arguably one of the most important moments in cinema history, so comparing the two might feel unfair, but I'm angry, and I feel like when it comes to Amazon, punching down isn't necessarily such a bad thing to do.
That's a little bit like we're still going down. Yeah, we're still going down.
Spoilers ahead, but it really doesn't matter. This show is incredibly predictable and boring, so.
I'm so bored!
First, I want to look at the scene from Return of the King where Theoden arrives at Gondor with the Rohirrim. At this point in the battle, all seems pretty much lost. Gandalf and Pippin are at the will of the Witch King, and the city is pretty much completely breached. But in the distance, we hear the horn of Rohan. The Rohirrim appear over a hill, gradually revealing the thousands of horseback soldiers ready to fight in the battle. Theoden moves closer to get a better view at the enemy and sees how absolutely screwed they are. We get to see the fear in Merry and Eowyn's eyes as they desperately try to comfort each other, knowing exactly what comes next. As the orcs form ranks to prepare to fight, Theoden snarls in the face of death and prepares to fight as well. He organizes his troops, and then we get the iconic speech.
Arise! Arise, riders of Theoden! Spears shall be shaken! Shields shall be splintered! A sword day! A red day! And the sun rises! Rise now! Rise now! Rise! Rise for ruin and the world's ending! Death!
God damn, this scene makes me want to run through a fucking wall. Theoden, knowing the chances of their survival are slim to none at all, doesn't sugarcoat the situation. Your spears will break, your shields will splinter, and you will probably die. Theoden and the Rohirrim screaming death is not a call for the death of the orcs or evil, but rather the realization that the Rohirrim will surely fall after this charge, and that they accept this fate. Sauron managed to defeat men by making them fear death, which in turn corrupted them, making them weak and prompting them to be cowards, to abandon hope and honor. But by screaming death, Theoden and the Rohirrim show their courage and their acceptance of their fate, suppressing that hold that Sauron really had on them. The scene is made even better by Merry and Eowyn joining on the last call of death. These two people who have never seen battle suddenly faced with the battle to end all battles, and in the face of that task, they too accept their fate in defense of the things they care about.
Why can he not fight for those he loves?
Eowyn, who moments before hid her face to not be recognized by her father, lets it all out and screams from her lungs because she too is a warrior of Rohan. Whoever writes the next season of Rings of Power, please, please, please take a good long look at what a strong female character should look like. And I haven't even mentioned Howard Shore's immaculate score yet, building slowly until it climaxes as the theme of Rohan plays with full orchestral strength. I could do an entire video on just the score itself, but I'll have to save that for another time. No matter how many times I watch the scene, I always end up at the edge of my seat, brimming with emotions. I understand the stakes of this fight. I understand the consequences of what happens if they lose, and when that final scream of death rings out, I feel like I too am ready to charge with them to whatever end. Now, you would think a billion-dollar TV show would be absolutely full of incredible fight sequences and other huge battle scenes, especially ones based on Tolkien's lore. But we are a whole season into this show, and we have pretty much one semi-major battle scene. I wish I had more to compare, but I guess the showrunners felt like watching dirty hobbits walk around the map pointlessly was more important than that, so here we are. Arondir and Bronwyn have gathered the Southlanders in the town center to rally them for battle. They know that by nightfall the town will be attacked by Adar and his orcs. By now I feel like I should care a little bit more about the fate of this town, but I really don't care at all. I could care less. This is also the same town that they fled from like 2 episodes ago because they were afraid of just a few orcs, but now that there are hundreds of them, the town suddenly becomes safer than the fortified tower that they were literally just inside of moments ago.
That makes no sense.
They fail to really develop any characters except for maybe Arondir and Theo in this timeline, but I've also had to pay pretty close attention to 4 other storylines and learn all those characters as well, so this has been kind of difficult for me. The show also lacks the spectacle that the original trilogy had. Hopefully in season 2 we get to see a couple more big battles with more extras, but compared to practically all the battles in Peter Jackson's films, this fight looks like a playground tussle. Bronwyn, who has somehow become the leader of the Southlanders so far, despite her complete lack of any qualifications, starts by saying, "We survived them before, now we must do so again." She is already lying to them. None of the Southlanders have ever survived an orc attack because they fled the town last time they saw one, but none of them have actually fought an orc before besides Bronwyn, Arondir, and I guess Theo. Arondir then explains the plan of attack, which is apparently to let the orcs get close because the Southlanders' position...
Our position gives us an advantage.
No, that sounds stupid. That sounds so stupid.
Bronwyn, for whatever reason, decides the fucking town tavern will be the fallback point.
Tavern! I have seen smaller armies defeat greater foes. Soon the sun will set. Do your part, and I swear to you, you shall see it rise again. Do you believe it?
Nope.
Do you believe it?
Still nope. What the hell is this? A battle speech or a high school pep rally? Arondir has to literally coax the emotion out of the Southlanders and sounds more like the guy who leads work retreats rather than a soldier preparing to fight an epic battle. What part of the scene was supposed to rouse me to my core? What part of the scene was supposed to ignite that fire under me to fight for what is good and just in the world? Where's the emotion in this scene? It feels like not only Bronwyn and Arondir are emotionless as they deliver their lines, but there's literally no energy from the extras. Hell, even Theo looks bored out of his mind. This scene from the Ring of Power was supposed to show the power of unity, strength and solidarity, and how the underdog can overcome and succeed even in the face of darkness. How even unprepared Southlanders can come together to fight and win against evil. Imagine how this scene could have felt different if Arondir had spoken about the true horrors of war, how tough they would have to be to succeed, and how the strength of men isn't in their swords but in their hearts. What an emotional moment that could have been if the writers had just an ounce of talent. But instead, what we get is quite literally the speech the class president gives before the homecoming football game against the much better team from the county over. I could spend all day comparing the details of these two scenes, but ultimately what it really comes down to is this. Nothing from the Rings of Power makes me want to watch anything a second time over. But this... goosebumps. Every time. Now, I know that this video might actually seem a little unfair of me to make, putting something so mediocre against arguably one of the best cinematic moments in history, and it is. But more importantly, it is to help explain why people are so disappointed. Our expectations were just set too high. There are many other comparisons I could make to the original trilogy, and also many other problems with the show that I could talk about and I may do in future videos, but please keep in mind this is all just my own opinion. You can like the show if you want to, you can hate this show, it doesn't really matter to me. I'm just pointing out the flaws that I see in it. And when I say the show is flawed, you better
Believe it!
Hey everyone, thank you so much for watching this video. It took me way too long to make this, so hopefully the next content I make will come out in a more timely manner. But if there's anything that you want me to review, take a look at, feel free to leave that in the comment section below. Also leave a like if you enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for all your support, and I'll see y'all soon.